All right, welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. Myles Udland here in New York. Let's take a look at this market because we are losing steam and losing steam fast as we head towards the closing bell. The Nasdaq is now in the red. The S&P is up just over 1%. We'd seen the Dow up some 6% earlier. Now we're up just 2%. Jared Blikre, what are you seeing on your screens here with about 6.5 minutes to go in the session?
Yeah, this is quite the dramatic sell-off, and it looks like it's dramatic, directly related to that Bernie Sanders news that he's opposing some of the provisions that essentially amount to bailouts. But let's take a look here. So we got the Dow basically putting its gains in half here, and the intraday price action is just really ugly. We can see how the market just fell out of bed on this news right here. In the long run, do I think this is going to happen in terms of the package, the $2 trillion package? Yes, but the market is very illiquid right now, and it's just subject to the whims of these headlines. And this coming at the very end of the day, you can bet there's a lot of money being taken off the table right now.
Yeah, and I think, Dan, it speaks to the fragility of this current situation. I mean, we talked earlier, it seemed like everything was fine. Came on the air at 3, everything's higher, talking about, Nike's decent quarter, and all of a sudden it's kind of back to reality. We're in a very, very fragile state right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't hang on to gains for a second. Sorry, Jared. And I was just going to note, I mean, we're so headline driven right now. Apple also now, according to Nikkei, citing sources, delaying its 5G iPhones by many months. And of course, the excitement and anticipation of those 5G iPhones coming in the fall was what had really buoyed Apple stock for the last couple months, I'd say. So now Apple, which was nicely up today, flipping into the red.
And I think, again, we've talked so much about the crisis era playbook and about how much this reminds a lot of investors of what happened in 2008. And if we want to draw the analogs, I mean, things are kind of happening faster now than they did back then. But if we're somewhere in October of 08, well, that was a very perilous month. And maybe we're playing out, the drama of a month in the span of a week. But, we had failed TARP votes there. We had all kinds of problems getting the federal government to step in with what the market deemed necessary to help the economy there. We're certainly looking for a similar relief package right now. And, we had Chuck Schumer yesterday talking about this bill being on the 2-yard line. Well, it seems like there's a lot of confusion about how exactly lawmakers are going to get this thing into the end zone. We'll have more on that coming up right after this break. Keeping an eye on this market selling off as we head towards the closing bell. We are back with that right after this break. All right, welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. Myles Udland here in New York. We've got exactly 2 minutes to go in today's trading session. Let's take a look at the major averages right now because we are looking at a little bit of a different market than we had when we came on the air here at 3 p.m. The Nasdaq is now in the red. The S&P and the Dow have lost about half their gains for today's session. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance Editor-in-Chief Andy Serwer for more on Andy, a market that was looking okay, and now again some negative political headlines. You had to expect there'd be something, but once again reminding us of the sensitivity of this market to headlines of any sort right now.
Yeah, it looked like we were going to have a 2-day rally because of the stimulus package that Washington, D.C. was putting forth. But now, late in the afternoon, Myles, as you suggest, it looks like that could be potentially scuttled, although probably only temporarily, by none other than Bernie Sanders. Maybe not such a surprise there, but there's been a lot of wrangling, and this is not a straight shot. It's a tremendous amount of money. It should be done prudently, but it also needs to be done fast. A lot of people are saying it's not big enough, but we need to be quick. So interesting political stuff going on, obviously, about wrangling over this. And of course, that impacts the markets.
And especially interesting that, Bernie Sanders lodging his complaints, but there are 4 other GOP senators who are also unhappy with the state of legislation right now. So certainly a long way to go in Washington to get something, unprecedented size, a couple $1 trillion we're talking about here. And it seems the market is telling Washington they need to have that done in 48, 72 hours, something like that. We got about 25 seconds to go here in today's trading session. Does look like we're going to see the Dow and the S&P hang on to gains, though they're going to be considerably more modest than they had been set to be earlier in the session. All right, and there it is, 4 o'clock. Closing bell should be ringing on Wall Street today, and we'll see where we shake out in just a couple of minutes. But again, a market that lost quite a bit of steam as we headed towards the close there. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman for a little bit more, Rick, on I guess, what, again, I mentioned it shouldn't be a huge surprise that we're seeing disagreement in DC, but I guess maybe I'm surprised that the market was so sure that this thing was just going to glide through. And it certainly seemed 24 hours ago like this was a no-brainer done deal.
Yeah, markets are really, I mean, for like 2 weeks, markets have really been gyrating based on what goes on in DC. And I think we still know the outcome here. I mean, this bill is going to pass. It's inconceivable that one senator, even Bernie Sanders, could hold up a $2 trillion bailout bill for the entire country. This is actually pretty normal. I mean, this kind of stuff goes on all the time when it's bills that most of us aren't paying close attention to. Somebody wants to get a last minute thing put in the bill or taken out of the bill. So they, throw a legislative tantrum and say, I'm not signing the bill unless I get my way. This almost always gets worked out, and I think it's going to get worked out this way. And I guess Bernie Sanders might just not care. I mean, he might feel like I got nothing to lose here. I'm in the last gasp of my presidential campaign, so I may as well go for it. What he's trying to get done here, by the way, is he's trying to get more generous unemployment provisions put into the bill. There are these these Republican senators who oppose that. So that's what they're fighting over right now.